This podcast is not suitable for work. If you're under the age of 18, kindly and with all due respect, get the fuck out. I mean it. Go on. Bye-bye. See you later. This isn't for you. Nope. America has a strange relationship with sex. We're obsessed with it, but it terrifies us. We censor it because it's constantly being shoved down our throats. But our dirty little secret is we like things shoved down our throats, especially when we're in bondage, or we're wearing leather, or being slapped around a little bit, and oh, God. I'm Sunny Megatron. Join Ken Melvoin-Berg and I as we explore, dissect, and demystify American sex.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. American Sex with Ken Melvoin-Berg and Sunny Megatron. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/ASPodcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ASPodcast, and AS stands for American Sex, for your free audiobook.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, Sunny.
Happy almost Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day week.
Happy almost Valentine's Day week to you, too.
I love you, schmooky, hooky, sweetheart, dear, Pookie Bear. I'm saying all the love words. I don't know.
I don't know why you're doing that. So, you know what? It's funny. Every year around Valentine's Day, and I don't even tell you this all the time, I do a big push to get on social media and talk about the different things that I like to donate to, and I sort of do a promotion for that. But my old age has confused my mind, and I kind of fucked up one recently. So on Facebook, I had put this big post about diabetes and this is sad, but my little sister, as you know, Wendy, she died of humoral immune deficiency syndrome, cancer, and diabetes. She had all these different things wrong with her. And so while I was thinking about my sister, and I was a little teary because I've had a lot of friends that have passed away recently from cancer. One of my best friends in the whole world, Yancey Small, just died of liver cancer at the age of 46. So as I was making this post about diabetes, I then put a promotion for the American Cancer Society. and all these people were coming. They're like, oh my God, this is so great. You're doing it. And then like a couple of people are like, what does cancer have to do with diabetes? And in my brain, it was because of Wendy is the common denominator, but nobody except for me knows that. They just accepted it. They're like, you know what? Ken's a little bit eccentric. He's a little bit wacky. Was this really from Ken? They didn't know. But yeah, so everybody who saw that Facebook post, that was me. That was about me. And the confusion came in my age and like drug-soaked, addled brain through the years. I've done way too many substances. But it's because there is a couple of major charities that I like to promote at Valentine's Day this time of year, which are the American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, and St. Jude's. So if you have the means, please donate to any one of those three organizations. We will put links for them in the show notes. But those of you that saw my very addled and confused and age-ridden thread on Facebook, that's what that was all about.
I noticed that. I was like, diabetes, cancer? What? These are not, but I just...
So that's where it comes from, though, is that it's a Valentine's Day thing that I do because it was a special holiday for me and my sister. And I didn't tell anybody, not even you knew about this. And then every year, that's why I do a thing.
I see how it relates to Valentine's Day because, like, no, that's heart disease. I was going to say,
that's new. The heart disease is new. She also had heart problems.
I was going to say,
Wendy was very sick and she had heart problems. She had heart disease. She had a pacemaker.
I was going to say, like, oh, you know, one disease affects your heart and the other one is like sugar because you eat candy on Valentine's Day shaped in a heart. But that has nothing to do with cancer. Unless
it has more to do with me and my sister were little kids and we did Valentine's cards to each other because you're brother and sister. And we were what are called Irish twins, which were two siblings that were born within like a couple of years of each other. And we were 17 months apart. So we shared a lot of the same friends. We were in some of the same classes in high school. We attended all of the same stuff together and we were with 1 year of each other in just about everything that we did. So it's one of the things, if you see me promoting stuff and it is about a disease that has to do with my sister, Wendy.
Oh, It's nice. Thank you,
It is.
Ken.
And that has, and this is like choose your own adventure in Ken's mind.
Yes, it is. And which has something to do with our guest. But I just want to say really quick, hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Hi, friends. I'm Ken Melvoinberg, and this is Sunny Megatron, and welcome to American Sex Podcast.
As you know, listeners, your support is what helps us grow. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you subscribe to American Sex Podcast, and also leave us a review on iTunes. You can also do things like follow us on Facebook, we're American Sex Podcast there, and on Twitter, where we're American Sex Pod. And make sure you share our posts and tell your friends about us. Now, lastly, please follow us on Patreon, because this week we have posted a hilarious story from our guest, Joanna Angel, about a porn scene that she shot that went hilariously and embarrassingly wrong with belladonna. And also, by listening to this story, you're going to learn valuable life advice like how not to prepare for anal sex. Super important. Now, you can only hear this if you head to patreon.com/American Sex. And if you choose to support us monetarily there, you're going to get extra perks too. So last month, we decided to send out some random gifts to a couple of our January supporters. So Vin and Veronica, check your Patreon inbox. You've got sex toys and accessories coming to you in the mail. Woohoo! So we had a Scandal Red Room kit. Also, we had a Fun Factory Stronic B and a Night Rimmer silicone anal training kit by Lux that needed a new home. Well, I mean, it needed its first home because they're new in the package. It's not like we use them.
They're not re-gifts.
Right,
just so you guys know, I want to be very clear on this. These have not been in either of our butts. It's a brand new product. Extra stuff that's been in our butts costs extra money.
Exactly. So these items are finding their first home with Vin and Veronica. Sweet.
So here on American Sex Podcast, we do sex toy giveaways every month. This month, the February giveaway is for an Ambi by Lovents smartphone controlled vibrating bullet provided by our sponsor, Castle Megastore. You can control this super strong bullet using a smartphone in the same room or use a smartphone anywhere in the world. Yes, you can invite anyone with the ability to download the smartphone app to control your toy, thus they control your body. Pretty cool. Go to sunnymegatron.com/AMBI to enter. We draw the winner at the end of the month. Good luck, listeners.
God, we have the giggles. Okay. All right. Oh, he's snorting. Stop. I need to get through this because we have an awesome guest that I want to present her in the best light. Not that she needs to be presented in the best light because she has some pretty good damn light herself. She presents herself in because she's amazing. She is the iconic punk princess of porn, Joanna Angel. So for those of you not familiar with all of the awesome things Joanna Angel has done and is, here is her official bio.
Joanna Angel is an award-winning adult film star, writer, director, producer, author, entrepreneur, and CEO of the venerated adult studio, BurningAngel Entertainment. Pacific Standard Magazine stated she is one of the most powerful feminist icons in the adult industry. She stormed mainstream media outlets, being featured in the New York Times, Forbes Magazine, Vice TV, LA Weekly, and CNBC, just to name a few. She was inducted into AVN's Hall of Fame in 2016 and continues to make her mark on the adult industry and the world at large.
You know, I gotta say, like, I had so much fun with this conversation. We talked about her new, like, choose your own adventure style erotica book called Night Shift that's being released tomorrow, actually, on the 13th of February. And we talk about things like the universal need for raunchy, dirty stranger sex, because a lot of us really like that. She told us the Burning Angel origin story, which was actually pretty fucking cool. I had no idea. We talk about how to keep your punk rock heart strong when you run a successful company and a whole bunch of really other cool stuff. So,
and one of the other things that was great about this conversation is that I grew up, in an era where I was a punk rock promoter. I was helping out bands. I worked at places like the Metro and Smart Bar here in Chicago for years as a bouncer and had been involved in the punk rock industry. And that whole punk rock mentality is what made me a self-employed, independent person. And I think she has that same stubborn streak in her. So I'm seeing a lot of myself in Joanna Angel. And it's not a dirty reference.
Was that a dirty joke?
Well, in my mind, when I'm watching her porn, I do too. But I'm talking from a philosophical business entrepreneurial point of view. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, here's Joanna Angel.
And I watch her porn.
Okay. Hey, Joanna, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Awesome.
We're doing great.
We are so happy to have you with us. We just recently got a preview of your new book. This is your first book, right? Night Shift?
It is, yeah. I've had chapters in other people's
yeah, we read some of your work, I think, in
before.
Ass Erotica. Did you contribute to that?
Yeah, I did contribute to Asa's book. I was in Jiz Lee's book. Can't even think of what else I've done. I've contributed like little stories or, or paragraphs or whatever in articles about porn. But this is my first novel, and it's so weird. It doesn't even feel real yet. I'm still having a hard time saying I wrote a book. I'm not lying.
By the way, it shows that you have a background in this, like reading both your short stories and reading this. And I have to say, I particularly I'm a huge fucking geek. And I learned to play Dungeons and Dragons in the 1980s. And of course, I read the, choose your own adventure ones. But this is way better than A Cavern of Time.
I nearly wet myself when I heard it was a choose your own adventure book, because I used to read that. We're both 80s children. I used to read those in the 80s. And I would always choose wrong. Like, oh, yeah, and all this great stuff's happening. Now you fell off a cliff and died. And I'm glad I didn't die in your book. That was really good.
No, wait, is there a bad ending in your book? Because I got a boner every time I did something, no matter what you do.
No, there's really no bad ending at all. I like happy endings, literally and figuratively, and that's very it's very sad and unsettling to have a bad ending.
Yeah,
I feel like it's very
a happy
from what
ending?
I remember. Yeah, right. From what I remember studying. Studying literature and film in college forever ago, once upon a time. I do remember it's very American to always have a happy ending. It's always the European or the French cinemas or books, that always had these endings where you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Where you just sit traumatized, silent after finishing, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. I think it was the classic American ending where you just you end it feeling good.
Right.
And maybe I'm cheesy, but I like to have closure at the end of these stories. And writing fiction was so much fun. You get to invent people and create lives for them and feelings and stories. And, I started getting really attached to these characters, and I didn't want them to have bad endings.
Yeah. So while I was reading your book, I was really getting into the characters too. It's your main character is Taryn, right? Main character. Yeah. And so set it up for us. Who is she? Where does she work? How,
and thank you
what's
for
the
reading
backdrop?
It. That's very exciting to me because not very many people have read it yet. So.
Oh.
No, we read. Really I was reading it oh my God. Never mind. I'm not going to talk too much. Go ahead. You talk.
That makes me so happy. That's amazing.
Were you going to go into a dirty story?
I was totally going to, but it was
you
know what? No, seriously, thank you for making Billy / Bonnie.
I love that character.
With a little bit a bigger, huskier guy. That, as a big husky guy myself, that, you don't see people that are, unless you're watching Swiney or somebody along those lines, you don't see bigger guys in porn for the most part. And it is good to see somebody that felt sexy that could be me.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. And I love that character. And that character also was just, I don't know. I had actually, over the years when I was dancing at a strip club in Kansas City, of all places, and a guy who was sort of taking care of me all weekend, he was a cross-dresser. And I really didn't, I have a lot of gay friends. I have a lot of trans friends. I have, a lot of friends that are drag queens. I never really met anyone that was a cross-dresser. It's sort of this section of the whole scene that gets overlooked.
Oh, for sure.
And I became really good friends with him over the weekend, and he really inspired me. And I started reading a lot more about the culture, and I thought it was just a really good character for a book. But anyway, the main character of the book is Taryn, who is actually very much like me when I graduated college, and only I wound up in porn. Basically, she's a girl that graduated from college with a degree in English, and kind of had different plans, but is also one of those girls that didn't really think about exactly what she was going to do with her life. And then when that moment came, she wound up just moving back to her hometown and got a job at an adult video store in the middle, in like a bumfuck town in Florida. The choose your own adventure comes from all the different people who come into the store and all the relationships she has with all the different people. And as she learns more about the people that come into the store, she learns about herself. That's sort of the way to tie the ribbon on everything.
So this story, like when I was reading it, it's so intricate. And of course the sex is amazing. Like I don't want to overlook the sex.
Thank you. But, a lot of erotica is, unfortunately, you don't care about the story that much like porn. You're fast forwarding through the story to get to the sex. And look, I did go to school for English. I've always loved writing. It's always been my passion in life. I put a lot of time and energy into the writing that goes into my porn scripts. And I didn't want people to fast forward through the story. I wanted people to love the story and love the sex in this book. And I really do hope that I accomplish that.
You did. You're like, I'm going to make people fall in love with these characters.
Absolutely.
You have to know them.
How hard was it to map out what the different sections are? I mean, that's the thing. I've written 15 books. I haven't written any novels.
Really?
Yeah.
God, good for you. And
it's all on weird like voodoo and like some gaming stuff.
Well, now I have to read some of your books.
I'll send you a copy of Weird Chicago. I write about like occult, supernatural, and serial killers.
That sounds amazing. Oh, wow. No, I
started doing TV shows all about ghosts and stuff. That's how I started before I got into like sex-oriented stuff.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, I would definitely love to read one of your books.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I really had to, I had to map it out, like really make a clear outline. It was particularly difficult with Choose Your Own Adventure, because I took one storyline and then I kind of kept going with it. And then when that storyline was done, I had to go all the way back and be like, okay, now I have to write about this other character that I completely forgot about, and also trying to keep track of like what was mentioned where, because I didn't want to reference something that wasn't in that story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it took
a
lot of like note writing, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh shit, like.
It reminds me of almost like you were creating literary alternate universes. You know how they say like every decision you make makes a different all the conspiracy theorists. Like you were actually making all of these alternate universes and like not having to cross details and
I had to like make a lot of notes going forward to make sure like, okay, did I cover that? Did I not cover that? Do I have to reintroduce this person? Does this person exist in this world? And I really hope people read all of the stories. Everybody's going to have a favorite,
right?
But I really tried to make sure that it wasn't like one story is the good one and the rest of them were crappy ones. I tried to put 100% into every story, and then and the stories have their own like sub stories. And I don't know, it was so much fun to do. Like I felt like I went on vacation when I was writing this, like I felt like I
awesome.
disappeared into a different universe. And yeah, it's strange to me that these people don't actually exist.
Yeah. And now that's my question though. Do they exist? Did you base these characters on real people or real situation? How did you come up? Because it is a really intricate story and really like, I can imagine these characters.
Yeah.
Is this just out of your head?
They're based off people I met. I mean, the amazing thing about me being in the adult industry for as long as I have, and before being in the adult industry, I was like, very active. I spent my whole life in the punk scene, you know what I mean? And both these scenes, you come across so many different kinds of people. So I have a lot of people in my Rolodex to kind of choose from, and people have always inspired me. I think it's a thing that all writers do. When you go out anywhere, you always have kind of like a fifth sense where you're just sort of like almost creepy, like you're staring at people and like inventing your own stories for them and stuff like that. I don't know if you're guilty of it too. I know that I sometimes get guilty of like always really loving to hear other people's like gossip just because I like hearing stories,
Mm-hmm.
and like, and then what happened? And then what happened? Like, I just want to know what happened, because people fascinate me and the paths they choose and the lives that they lead. But, I'd have to say most of the characters are based off of people I met or, just conglomerates of different people I met sort of morphed together, but no story is like an 100% true story. I do actually have a good friend whose name is Taryn. And she used to, she was like kind of a fan of mine, kind of an inside the industry person that, we wound up becoming really good friends. She was like an early days Burning Angel member, and she did work at a porn store. And she used to message me on MySpace. And just
that is way back. That is way back.
Yeah. She used to message me and be like, oh, hey, like I work at a porn store and like I love your porn and blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, this person came in and bought this and this person came in and bought this. And then we started talking on like instant messenger, where she would just like be bored at work, like late at night, like telling me about all the people that came into the store. So she actually did, kind of inspire me to be the main character of the book. And I remember talking to her and I was like, can I just call her Taryn? It's easy for me to like, And she was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay, cool. And she did work in Florida too.
That's hilarious. You have a lot of different jobs that you do. You are an entrepreneur. You are a director. You are a writer. You are a producer. You are an actor. And now you're an author. So with all these mediums, the one kind of thing that all of those things have in common is that you're a storyteller. And
I really am. Thank you for acknowledging that. I think a lot of people don't really understand that.
No, it's exactly what you are. It's so important that we have, some sort of common thread when we're watching, anything from adult movies to mainstream movies. Have you ever thought about taking this book and turning it into a video production, or would it just be too difficult because of the way you'd have to edit each scene? Almost the same, but with slight differences.
No, I mean, I'd love to. Like, look, if 50 Shades of Grey could be a movie, then anything could be.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know.
Yeah, I lost the way the whole universe worked after that. I was like, what?
Yeah, it was like... It was sometimes there's moments in life where I'm like, am I on crazy pills? Like, how does everybody think this is so good when it's blatantly not good?
Yeah.
But, I think this would be an amazing movie. And also I wrote it very much like a movie because that's how my brain thinks. I think of things very visually because everything I write these days turns into a movie. It would kind of feel like a porn Clerks, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a great analogy.
Right?
Yeah.
That's sort of like was when I wrote my original treatment for the book, that's kind of what I said it would be. I said it would feel like Clerks, but at a porn store.
It totally is. I didn't even think about that.
Girl.
Yeah. In 1 year's time, we will have you back on the show talking about Night Shift, the Choose Your Own Adventure movie, because that needs to happen. Yeah.
I would love that. I mean, I'd love to see how far, this can go. Obviously, everybody who writes a book wants it to take on all mediums,
Yeah. And what I find interesting too is even the cover of your book, and listeners, if you go Google Night Shift, the Choose Your Own, was it Night Shift, Choose Your Own Adventure? I'm getting that title wrong.
Choose Your Own Erotic Fantasy.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I know we actually got into like a legal battle because
a Choose Your Own Erotic Fantasy. That's it. So, and it's very, the concept is very 80s throwback. Even the cover is kind of 80s throwback to me. And that's like really hot right now. There's like Atari rebooted and Stranger Things and all that. So
unfortunately, I think the concept of porn stores are becoming kind of 80s too, especially the one I referenced in the book. There's actually, I don't know how many adventures you read, but there's a whole section of the book that actually talks about all the different kinds of porn stores, like I think that, the chains are bigger now, chains like Romantics and Babeland, very like couples friendly stores that really don't have that much porn. Actually, a lot of it's just sex toys and lingerie and events and stuff like that. But I think there's a charm in these like old school porn stores that have like the jerk off booths in them and everything's.
And some of them have glory holes.
And some of them have glory holes. And like, I think that it's like, I like those stores. And as somebody who's done a lot of touring and gone to a lot of different stores, I always have more fun at the more seedy ones, And I think it's, as porn has become more mainstream, I think that people usually think that people in porn like that, but I I was always attracted to the things about porn that were sort of wrong and taboo and sketchy. And like, you know, I sort of missed the days when you had no idea what the hell was going on inside the industry. And like, you'd see a porn star and you're like fascinated by everything about her life. Now it's very different, you know, that doesn't so much exist so much anymore. But yeah, I think just the concept of the store that I wrote about in the book, that's almost becoming kind of 80s in a way too, you know, like those seedy stores on 42nd Street. Like every time I go back to New York, a lot of them are disappearing, you know, and a lot of the high-end stores are taking place, which is cool. You know, I do actually think 50 Shades of Grey probably helped with that, you know, like sex is, and you know, the mainstream of sex has become like this very like high-end thing.
Sanitized, you know, in a way.
Yeah, people want to buy really expensive paddles and collars and this and that, but you know, the nitty gritty of you know, of these stores, I think they're really charming, and a lot of them are mom and pop owned, like family owned, you know, and a lot of them are going away. You know, they're kind of like the Blockbusters or the Tower Records, you know, of the porn industry.
They are.
So I'm glad I got to write this book and capture this, because I don't think, you know, these are really going to exist, you know, probably 20 years from now. You know, like the concept of turning 18 and going to a porn store is done. You know, the way I'm sure when you were younger, you waited till you were 18 and you're like, I want to buy a porn. Now it's like,
yeah.
Do you think any of that has to do with like the tube sites and how they get? I can't remember. Were you in the Butterfly Effect?
No, I didn't. I wasn't interviewed for that. I listened to a lot of it, but yeah, I think some of it does have to do with the tube sites, and some of it just has to do, you know. I mean, it's happened in all of entertainment. I mean, people don't buy CDs, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, Best Buy just said that they're going to cut all the CD selection from their inventory.
Yeah.
They're getting rid of everything at this point.
But I think there's something to be said for the dirty, like that dirty, raunchy, your feet stick to the floor kind of place. And I'm sorry. And it's, you know, I imagine even the people that go to these, you know, as we said, sanitized store that buy the luxury sex toys, I have dirty, raunchy fantasies about like gross old men that are strangers. And
oh yeah,
I do. Yeah, I'll tell you a fantasy I had once. They were doing construction outside the house, and they were like some like dirty construction workers, and I was like, I pictured myself on the digger, you know, the like on the digger part, and they were like with their dirty hands all over me. And I think that's probably a pretty common fantasy that a lot of women specifically don't admit that they want to have some dirty, raunchy, anonymous feet stick to the floor sex. I mean, don't you think, Joanna?
I mean, that's definitely a fantasy, and that's I hate relating it to it, but you know, I feel like 50 Shades of Grey like put it out there, like you're not supposed to have dirty fantasies unless it's about someone rich.
Right. you can have the dirty fantasy in your private jet.
If I have a helicopter, then I get laid.
Yeah, degraded as long as he's rich. You know, like it's like I feel like I don't know. There's so many wrong messages in that movie.
Oh man, I could go all day on that movie.
Yeah,
oh my god, and book.
People who read it can understand and appreciate and relate and maybe go and visit their local, you know, seedy porn store that's open 24 hours, because there aren't that many of them left, you know, and you should kind of, and as someone who's done touring and visited these stores, you know, a lot of times I get to know the family, you know, like you're going out to eat before you're signing with the son, you know, and you meet the grandfather and the mom and dad, you know.
Mima's in the back room making some crock pot, like,
Oh, totally. And that's how these things are, you know? And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, I want to talk more about you and how you got started in the industry, because you really are an icon. And I'm sure most people who are listening are like, oh my God, Joanna Angel. So we're going to get all, oh my God, Joanna Angel when we get back. I know you're fancy, and I know you've been eyeing some of those luxury sex toys, haven't you, you frisky little fox? Well, I also know that you enjoy a good discount, don't you, dear? You now can get 20% off your entire order plus free shipping at luxury sex toy retailer Lalo.com with discount code SUNNY. Yes, dear, you heard me right. 20% off anything your little heart, or, well, other parts, desire at LELO.com using discount code SUNNY. Yes, dear, you can thank me later. Castle Megastore. Once you see their sex toys, you'll want more. I have no idea if Castle Megastore actually has a theme song, but I really dig Castle Megastore. So that's my gift to you, Castle, your very own theme song. And you listeners get a gift too. If you go to castlemegastore.com and use discount code SUNNY, that's SUNNY, when you check out, you will receive 20% off your order. That's amazing. Castle Megastore. When you get your sex toys, you'll be on the floor because you'll be using them so much and they'll be so awesome and you'll save so much money. You'll get more than one and then you'll climax for a really long time and you'll just be passed out and you'll be like, oh my God, give me water. That was the best orgasm ever.
You bring so much joy to Chicago every time you come to the Exit. I used to work there years ago doing their bondage night.
God,
yeah,
what
and
a fun club that is. So,
and they get a ton of celebrities in there, but you totally light everybody up. I just want to let you know that everybody appreciates it every time you come in.
I got to make it back there. It's one of the most fun bars in the whole country. It's so much fun. I love Chicago. Every time I go to Chicago, I have to go to Kuma's and I have to go to
Fuck yeah.
You know? I love it. It's
Those are traditions, especially Exit.
Right?
I remember my mom used to go to Exits.
Seriously, she did?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I told you what we did, right? Are we back from the break?
Yeah, we're back.
We're back?
We're already back. Fuck that. Yeah.
I will tell you what I did. I pulled kind of a Keith Richards because when my mom passed away, I took her ashes and I sprinkled them all over the world and all the places she liked to go so she could travel the places she's never traveled to or revisit old places that were her favorites. And I sprinkled her in Exit. and it was because it's a 5 a.m. bar. So it was probably 4 a.m. at this point. And we were really toasted and didn't have really good judgment. And one of my favorite bartenders there was instead of pulling a Keith Richards and actually snorting her, we're like, let's sprinkle her in a shot. And so we sprinkled a little in a shot and then we all took straws and drank the shot. So yeah, I have that's one of the very many very strange.
And you mixed some of her ashes in with your tattoo.
Yes,
your tattoo.
I did. Yes, yeah. So that was a little weird side. Hi, Joanna.
Hi. That sounds like a great night.
Yeah, it was interesting. Put it that way. So you. You were an icon. You were absolutely an icon. You're, are you from New York? Wait, where are you from?
Maybe I can take credit for both. I am from New Jersey.
Okay.
That is where I grew up. I went to Rutgers. That's where I went to college. But I grew up in North Jersey, so I spent a lot of time in New York. I was what do you call it? I was the bridge. They call it bridge and tunnel.
Yeah.
Make fun of all the people that come from New Jersey and New York. So I was from the bridge. Then later when I went to Rutgers, I was from the tunnel. But and then after college, I did live in Brooklyn for a couple of years too. So, New York is home to me and New Jersey is also home to me. But
right.
Whatever. I'm from the East Coast.
So you were this nice East Coast Jewish girl, you were an English major, and now you're the tattooed alt porn punk princess, and you have an empire. How the heck did that happen?
I mean, definitely didn't happen overnight, but when I was a senior in college, which was 2002, such a long fucking time ago. I mean, it's a different lifetime ago. I started a porn site with my roommate. We just, that was the beauty of the internet is you could start these weird little businesses from, out of nothing. So I guess I put a bunch of a handful of my punk whatever tattooed friends on the internet. The original Burning Angel that launched in 2002. Was just me and 5 other girls, and it was just pictures And it took off from there. I mean, people were so like, whoa, what is this? It's so crazy to think about it now that like everybody made such a big deal. I remember in my school, like teachers were talking about it. Students wouldn't stop talking about it. I mean, this is way, way, way before webcamming and anything, you know, they were like, oh my God, there's like tattooed girls naked on the internet. Like, I know it wasn't exactly world news, but it felt like world news to me, you know?
I mean, did it shock you? Were you thinking like, oh, we're just going to, you know, put some pictures on the internet and make a few extra bucks during college? Like, did you have any inkling it was going to make this huge splash?
You know, I think I just wasn't prepared for it. I was, I kind of approached it the same way that like, you know, I was very much, you know, very heavily involved in the punk scene, and all my friends, like, they had their own record labels, they had their own bands, they put on their own shows, you know what I mean? They printed their own flyers and they did their own events. And like, I kind of came from the scene where everybody was like doing things, you know?
Right.
And for some reason, when I first came up with the idea, like there was so much excitement and like work to make this, you know, from the time I thought of it to the time it was on the internet, you know, it was about 6 or 7 months. And in those 6 or 7 months, like friends were helping me, you know, borrowing a camera from some guy that borrowed a camera from his mom, and like finding girls to do it, figuring out how to pay these girls, you know, like everything was like very complex. Like it was not easy to do this at that time, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, I was so proud of myself when it launched. And I guess I just thought of it like it was going to be received the same way that all my friends who put out like records or whatever, or put on events, like I kind of thought we would all be treated the same way, you know? I'm like, okay, well, instead of like making an album, like I made a porn site, like what's the big deal? I don't know. And it was so not like that. Like it was crazy, you know, thinking back on it now, it's like, I actually wrote about the night that Burning Angel started in my chapter in Jiz Lee's book, Coming Out Like a Porn Star, because like there was the date was April 20th, 2002. Uh-huh.
And was that planned? Was it like 420 or just coincidental?
You know, I actually remember we picked that date because not because it was 420 or having anything to do with that. I do remember on that particular date, it was a weekend, and there was like, it was the New Jersey like surf and skate fest. I remember it was this huge like festival with like all these bands that were playing. And I thought it would be really good. Like we made flyers, like the original way that we promoted Burning Angels. We made flyers like we were a fucking band, you know, like we were a show. So yeah, so we made a whole bunch of flyers, and I still have one of the original flyers. I always find it when I'm going through my stuff, and it was just like a picture of me, and it said band interviews, articles, and naked girls, like, and then it was like ... yeah, naked girls, and that's like all it was, and it was burningangel.com. So I remember we printed up like, I don't know, 10,000 of these flyers at a fucking Kinko's, the way we did for any punk show. And I gave them to a couple of my friends that I knew that were going to Surf and Skate Fest, and they were going to hand them out, and that was going to be our launch. So I remember picking it like, you know, it was like a couple months before, and we just had to pick a date. And I was like, okay, this has to be it, you know? I don't know. And it really did make a difference. Like I remember that night, like really seeing it, like seeing like the website ticker thingy, like being like, oh my God, like thousands of people are now looking at this website. Like,
wow.
This is crazy.
So was that back in the day with like, you know, so many people have visited this page and sparkly roses?
Yeah,
like, was it like,
totally,
like a GeoCities page?
I mean, it was pretty close, you know? And yeah, it was really crazy. And, so I remember just at my house, we were having our own like 420 party, and there was like a bunch of bands playing at my house and stuff. I lived in this house with like 10 people. It was like always different people living in my goddamn house. It was like a total punk halfway house basically. And I remember walking through the party, and like every single person was stopping me. And it was crazy. Like, mind you, at the time there was 5 photo sets. Me plus 4 other girls, and these photo sets had like maybe 30 photos in them. Some of the girls, I didn't even get naked. All I did was I was only topless. I remember at the time being like, you know what, I'm not going to like and show my vagina. I don't know why. I was like, oh, I don't know about that. I'll just be topless.
Back when Joanna Angel was meek and shy about her vajayjay.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to be topless, you know? There was like one girl, I think, who was like, I don't care, I'll show my vagina. And we were like, yeah. Like, it was this huge deal. And everyone was stopping me at the party like, oh my God, so you're in the porn industry. What's that like? Like, do you think that porn is punk? Do you think that porn is feminist? Like, do you think that porn degrades women? Do you think this? Do you think that? And I was like, oh my God, I just took a bunch of naked pictures in my bedroom and that's all I did. Like, what did I do? I don't know how to answer these questions. Like, and I remember being in my basement and, you know, it was 420 and I ate these like vegan pop brownies and I'm like going crazy as it is because I probably ate too many of them. And I'm like walking around my house and everybody's stopping me, you know, and to me, this was my whole world. I wasn't used to being the center of attention. That wasn't me. I was like kind of like a girl on the sidelines. And I was always used to like being like a champion for all my friends that were in bands and stuff like that. And then I remember like being in my basement, my own basement, you know, and there was like a band playing in my basement that I really liked. Obviously I liked them if they were playing in my basement. And there was like a girl singer of the band. And before she sang this song, she gave this whole speech about like domestic abuse and pornography and degrading women. And I was like, oh my God, is she talking about me? I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Or like, did she just happen to pick today to talk about pornography? Like, what is going on? And I was like freaking out. And I just, you know, part of me was excited and then part of me was scared and I was like, what do I do? And I just remember going into my room and like shutting the door and being like, okay, I either need to take this thing and make it really amazing or I need to take this website down and like move and like never speak of this again. And, you know, and as someone who I was very politically active in college, you know, like I went to a lot of protests. I was part of all these animal rights groups, you know, threw like fucking paint on people's fur coats and stuff like that. I was that girl. And, you know, I realized I spent so much time trying to like get people's attention to care about all these issues that were really important, you know, like, and people didn't care, you know, you'd stand in front of like the you know, the Washington Monument or the White House, you know, like protesting with giant signs and make a big spectacle of it and tie yourself to trees and this and that. And like people walk by and they're like, you know, and you put 5 naked girls on the internet and everybody stops what they're doing and they all want to know why and they want to know how. And I just, there was a piece of me, like the, you know, the punk rock part of me was like, this is cool. This is powerful. This makes people think. This makes people stop. And there's like so much I can do with this. And I just need to figure out what the hell to do and how to do it. Right. Wow. And that was like, you know, I'm really glad that everything happened that way. You know, I'm glad I got, and that's why when people are like, oh, are you glad that porn is becoming more accepted and more mainstream? I'm like, you know what? I don't think I would have had the drive to make Burning Angel what it is if I didn't get all that stigma and all that, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what pushed me forward, and more than the money or the fame or anything. Like, I love the fact that I thought that pornography had power in the world. You know, it really like changed the way people thought. And I love that. And it inspired me. And I just kind of went with my gut. And that was in 2002. That is the truth. I know a lot of people, they've tried to twist my story. I've read over the years, like, oh, Joanna doesn't even own the company and she got investment money and she got this and she got this. And like, that's not true. That is like genuinely 100%. I couldn't make that story up. Wow. So that is how Burning Angel started.
So if Joanna Angel of today, like let's say from writing Night Shift, you really did have those parallel universe time travel powers. If Joanna Angel of right now went back in time and talked to Joanna Angel on April 19th, 2002, would 2002 Joanna Angel like have any belief or inkling that this would be your life now?
No, no clue at all. I had no idea. Like, I had no idea this is what it was going to lead to. I had no idea that, you know, I had no idea I was going to be like a porn star. I mean, my real name is Joanna, because I remember, you know, we were putting up the website. I remember the guy that made the website, he was like, what do you want your name to be? I was like, I really need like a stage name, you know, like it was absurd for me to think that I was going to be so famous that I needed some pseudonym. It was ridiculous to me, you know. I was like, oh, I'll just Joanna. I don't know. Whatever.
You know what? Speaking of your name, I love your name in Jewish Girls Love Black Cock.
Oh, well, Joanna Angelstein?
Yes. As a Jewish man, I can completely appreciate it and adore the fuck out of that. There's obviously Fiddler of the Roof elements in that whole thing.
No, that whole movie is just, that's basically a parody of Fiddler on the Roof, you know? I love that movie. That is definitely, in all my years of porn, that's my favorite movie that I've ever made. I'm so happy it won both an AVN award and an XBiz award. It is, like, really special to me. And that movie is, like, I'm not joking, like, when I was writing that movie, I would call my mom on the phone and just have conversations with her about things, and I would directly quote my mother in that movie. Basically, like in that movie,
awesome.
like I'm more or less playing my mom, and every other character in Jews Love Black Cock is basically a version of me. But most of those absurd things that the main character says, that Joanna Angelstein says, those are words that came right out of my mother's mouth.
And does she like go to the neighbors and be like, I inspired that character? Like,
no,
does she know?
Idea.
She doesn't know?
No, she has no idea. Yeah.
Well, that is funny.
I know. Yeah, like there's a part in Jews Love Black Cock. I don't know how much you watch, but there's.
I've watched the entire thing.
Did you really?
I've actually reviewed it under a pseudonym.
Oh, really?
I can't say for who, but favorable reviews, like 5 dicks all the way up.
Good. Yes. Well, the part in the movie where Joanna Angelstein shows up and she sees that the girl is a lesbian, you know, and she's like, "Oh, you guys don't have to do this, you know, just because you're sad and lonely, you don't have to like, you know." My mom literally did say that to like my lesbian friends, and I brought them.
Oh,
that's
I was so embarrassed. She was like, "Oh, you know, like that's nice that they have each other, but they don't have to do this." You know, like she basically thought that they were like 2 girls that like couldn't find love, so they just like married each other. She didn't understand. Like, no,
all they need to do is find a nice boy.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, you know, there's still time. You know, like it's okay.
Oh my goodness.
Like, it's okay. Don't worry. Like this is fine to do for now. I understand. You know, you don't want to be alone, but like, don't worry. There's someone out there for you. Like she couldn't. Like I was like, Mom, stop. And she didn't even realize she's being so insulting. You know, like she thinks she's like being nice. You know, I think that's kind of the beauty of Jewish moms is like they're completely insulting you, but like they don't even realize it. You know,
it's their superpower. I swear.
It is their superpower.
And everybody asks me always like what my mom made for dinner. I'm like, Jewish reservations, Chinese food, of course.
Yeah.
What? She doesn't fucking cook. Are you kidding me? That's what Jewish moms do. That's how they make. That's how they make fancy dinner. So I have a question for you, punk rock. What's your 3 top punk bands? Go.
All right, let's dig back. 3 top.
And I'm a crusty old punk myself, so I will judge you.
I mean, the Misfits.
Wow, you don't hold back.
No, not for this. Not for punk rock, because I know she's punk rock, and I know she's going to give me something good.
Okay.
I know. I mean, saying the Misfits, like, you know, that's kind of just like your all-time classic, you know.
Of course.
Bouncing Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I got to pick like a more obscure one. Okay, you know what? Let's pick The Locust.
Wow, that's reaching way back.
Or Refused. I'm going to put Refused in there too. Probably, I think
that is
one of the best
awesome.
punk bands to ever exist.
What do you think of Dead Kennedys or Descendants?
Okay, look, the Dead Kennedys I liked, but I think I liked their message more than I liked their music growing up. You know, like I liked them, but I liked everything that they stood for. It was kind of like listening to Crass. You know, it's like Crass. Like I'd always like buy their albums and read their lyrics and like look through their little booklets, but like. The actual listening to them was like never what you wanted it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're more of a listening band than a live band for sure.
Yeah. You were like, I don't know if this was supposed to be a book or it was actually supposed to be music, you know? But I did, like, I liked the Dead Kennedys. I went to see Jello Biafra speak, like, a bunch of times. It was always so funny.
Jello's awesome.
Every time you'd see him speak, he sounded exactly like he did in the songs, you know? And you felt like, you know, that's really how he talks. But I was like, when I was younger, you know, like I liked all the bands that were angry, you know, and like I remember like life-changing moments, like going to see Anti-Flag and they sang that "Die for Your Government" song. I was like, you know, like in Coney Island High, I was 14 years old, I think, you know, like seeing like a whole room full of mohawks and spray painted leather jackets and that, like everybody singing along, you know, like those moments like really made me who I am, you know, and I was like, yes, like fuck everyone. I'm so angry. I don't even know what I'm angry at, but like, you know, it made me feel like confidence to like walk into school and like not be like everybody else, not be ashamed, you know, like that was like what punk was to me. And that's what punk will always be to me, you know, like the same way I felt like walking into high school with my like spiky leather jacket is like the same way I sometimes feel, you know, when I walk into AVN, you know, like, I don't know. It's like, I'm going to do what I want, you know, and this is who I am and like take it or leave it and like, fuck you, you know? Like,
that's
what punk is all about, you know, and those are, and just because, you know, I don't go to like squats in the depths to go find out about new bands. You know, you can't take away like me being punk rock, you know, like it made me who I am. And, you know, all my heroes that I looked up to growing up, you know, like Tim Armstrong or Fat Mike or, you know, they're all like, or, you know, fucking Ian McKay or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They're icons, you know, and they all like worked for themselves, did everything themselves. They're creators, you know, they didn't like sell out to bullshit just to be part of mainstream culture. You know what I mean? They're like very smart, successful people that always stay true to who they were. And they're my heroes still today. And they were my heroes in high school, you know?
Mm-hmm. So now, okay, this leaves us at a great place to close out. Your porn, your empire, your image, your everything, your essence. I'm getting dramatic. Your essence is very punk rock. Your porn started out from a very punk rock, subversive place. And the aesthetic is still very alt and punk rock. However, now that you've grown bigger and you are more of an icon and you've won all the AVN awards, and didn't you just recently get inducted into like the Hall of Fame like last year?
Yeah. A few different ones.
So do you still feel as punk rock as you were back in the day? Like, how do you keep that punk rock aesthetic like more in your soul, not looking, but like how do you keep yourself more punk rock at heart?
I mean, it's a hard thing because it just kind of like, it comes naturally to me, you know, like I don't do what feels wrong. I go with my gut, you know, and I don't fall for bullshit. You know, I think that's something you learn like early on, like in the punk scene, you know, like as you become bigger and bigger, there's all these like marketing scams that kind of like come your way, you know, and there's always that like punk rock person inside of me that's like, fuck that. Like, I don't need that shit. You know, I can do it myself. You know, I think the do it yourself attitude instead of like outsourcing things to like big firms that don't even like understand who you are, you know, is just something that's always going to remain true to me, you know, and the way I've grown my business organically, like I'm always, you know, going to be punk rock, but, you know, I don't think you need to dress outrageously or look outrageous, you know, to prove that you're punk anymore. You know, I think it's more in like what you do and how you act. And over time, like I have a love for filmmaking, you know, like I don't just want to make porn because it shocks people. I don't just want to use tattooed girls because they're different, you know, like I like making movies, you know, and I like expressing myself through movies, you know, and I think I've sort of grown up, you know, and I think Burning Angel started just because it was something different. And I hope that the brand is now big enough to become known for my style of making films, you know, sort of like Hustler started because Larry Flint went to the Supreme Court. You know what I mean?
Right.
but that's done now. He did that. He can check that off the list. He will be noted for it forever. But he can't make every single issue of Hustler magazine about, you know, taking the government down and blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, he's got to create product. He's got to create content, and he creates his own art and, you know, and brings it across in his own way, you know, and his company has grown where other people have their own ideas. And you know what I mean? It's like,
right.
I can't just like be like a one trick pony. Like, oh, look, I'm a website with girls with tattoos. Like it you know, that was very groundbreaking at first. It's not groundbreaking anymore. And I hope that over time I've developed a real love for for filmmaking and making people laugh and getting people aroused and, and making sexy things on camera and just, growing my business. So, over time, I guess things have changed.
Aw. Well, I look forward to the groundbreaking things that you have coming. And one, I mean, I really think that Night Shift to Choose Your Own Adventure or Choose Your Own Erotic Fantasy, because is it that Choose Your Own Adventure is like trademarked probably or something? I don't know. Yeah, Choose Your Own Erotic Fantasy. That is groundbreaking. So tell us where people can find that, where people can find you, like all the good stuff as we wrap up here.
You can find Night Shift. It's on Amazon. I think everybody has Amazon, the place where you buy vacuum cleaners and dog food. And,
I think it's like embedded in a chip in my skin at this point. Like, yeah, it's
girls,
scary.
Put it on your wish list or whatever. I think the actual date is, I think it's out. Is it out? Is it shipping now? If not, it'll be out in the next couple of days. But yeah, it's called Night Shift. It's by Joanna Angel. There's actually a lot of other books called Night Shift. I saw there was
Stephen King.
Night Shift. Yeah, there's a Night Shift by Stephen King. So
yeah,
don't buy that one. He sells enough books. He doesn't need to sell anymore. By Night Shift by Joanna Angel, and I'm really excited about this. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. Just Joanna Angel is my name, at Joanna Angel, and BurningAngel.com. That's where you find all my porn. So look me up and enjoy Jews Love Black Cock or several hundred other films. And if you look on my Twitter and on my Instagram, I'll be promoting my book tour. I've got a couple dates in LA coming up on the 13th and 14th. On the 13th, I'll be at the Grove at Barnes & Noble's there. On the 14th, I'll be at Skylight Books. I believe it's in Silver Lake. And then I have a bunch of dates on the East Coast. I'm really excited. I'm going to be at Atomic Books in Baltimore.
Ooh, that's really cool.
Very iconic bookstore where I know it's where John Waters gets his mail. So if you don't want to come for me, maybe John Waters will have to pick up his mail that day, and he might be there.
Awesome.
And partners, buy this for your lover. Like, this would be a great book to actually read in bed as like, something you could do for foreplay.
What was your story? Did you say that you did you guys do that? You said you did something with a partner. You were reading a book to each other or something?
No, we read ours separately.
No, we read ours separately.
I don't know why we didn't.
Why didn't we read it together?
We could have had a couples bonding moment. Like, Ken, do you want to give the key to the lady, or do you want to give the key to the guy? And then we can argue over what's the best choice.
I've got a flannel shirt, and I might or might not have some panties upstairs, so we can see what's going on.
Yes, I love it.
The last time we played, we did some Mommy Dearest and Christina role play.
Yeah, I was Mommy
awesome.
Dearest and he was Christina.
I was Kentina.
Kenstina. Yeah, this is a new thing. We need to do more of that. So,
I know she wasn't mad at me. She was mad at the dirt.
Of course. Well, thanks again, Joanna. This has been an awesome conversation. And
yeah, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, everyone go out and get that book. And if you miss the websites or the social media links, you can always go to AmericanSexPodcast.com or SunnyMegatron.com to get our show notes, to get all those links so you can buy your book. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to American Sex. To keep up with Ken and I, well, first make sure you watch our TV show, Sex with Sunny Megatron, on Showtime. Then visit SunnyMegatron.com. There you can learn more about us, read our blog, peruse our workshop calendar, or hire us. For what? Well, either for private coaching, or to book us to teach at your event or university, or as sex and relationship writers for your publication. Oh, and don't forget, we're on social media, too. I'm the super social one, so you can find me as Sunny Megatron on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, my YouTube channel, and a bunch of other places. But if you want to get me on Snapchat, you got to look for Sunny_Megatron, and you can follow Ken on Twitter at @SideChicken. That's PSYCHICKEN. Also, please support us by shopping with the affiliates and sponsors from our breaks. And if you contribute to our Patreon, we're going to love you forever. Well, we're going to love you forever anyway, but just go with it. Lastly, if you like this broadcast, tell people about it. Tweet it, Facebook status it, and rate it on iTunes and other platforms. Thanks, friends. We'll see you next week on American Sex.